At the end of the day, we are creators. All of us are creators. It's not you have to be creative and no. All of us are creative. That's what we're supposed to do. Complain.
I think the biggest disservice that is done to us is we think that God is outside of us, so we feel powerless.
Within us. Unity is the hardest thing.
They made it hard.
Yeah. It's really
they made it hard, and it's just like if people would understand how powerful they really are, that's where mind control came in. It's like you feel like that's like if your life is already written for you, and it's not.
Like, I really don't play games with my mom. I'm just like, Mom, you were the vessel to get me here. I love you. I respect you. But this is how it's going to go in my world.
My friends, welcome back to the Smokey Mirror podcast, where we dive deep into the creative minds that shape our culture and inspire us all. I'm Jordan Jones, your host and fellow creator, on a mission to share knowledge and inspiration to help you make your mark on the world. From artists to musicians to entrepreneurs and more, join us as we explore the intentional act of creation and the forces that drive us to do God's work. Today, I'm joined with my friend Lilly and her co-host Sharrelle, and they are the hosts of the Be Selfish podcast. So I met Lilly on the Bacardi commercial that I shot.
It's a couple.
That was the first. That was the first one, though, right?
Bacardi. We got the
Super Bowl commercial too.
The Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah.
And there was one more.
Really?
One more, yeah. The Black and Mild.
You did Black and Mild too?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Yeah, we've done 3 commercials together. That's what's up. So that's how I know Lilly, from her amazing work as a makeup artist. She didn't have to do too much work on me because I'm naturally beautiful, but
that's
True.
when you. I think,
True.
I think that's when you came up with the Be Selfish name during the Black and Mild commercial, because we talked on the phone that day.
Really?
It's dope. Yeah.
Wow.
I can remember that.
That's awesome. I felt like you had it going already while we were talking. So
probably in my head. I remember we were talking about what was it? Anchor and all that stuff. And I was like, I want to start a podcast. So
I remember that.
Yeah, we're having full circle moments
wow,
right now.
How about that? And now here you are. So, what was the inspiration behind starting the podcast? Like, why'd you guys want to do it? And then why Be Selfish?
It's all Lilly.
What do you mean?
Well, because I was already, doing trying to do a podcast. And this, crazy enough, this room that we're in was the first time I ever filmed my first podcast, maybe a year and a half ago.
Another full circle moment.
Yeah. But Lilly had the idea for us to start a podcast. So that's why I look at Lilly like, Lilly knows.
Okay, Lilly, you the evil genius. Like, what?
Not evil genius.
Okay, not evil.
I
The genius.
swear, I'm up to good things. But so with Be Selfish, first the name came up that day on the Black and Mild shoot. It wasn't something I wanted to name it that way, but I feel like every time we say Be Selfish, everyone asks like, be selfish, what do you mean? Like, because they have a negative narrative to being selfish. But it gives me a chance to explain it's the good way of being selfish: self-care, self-love, self-reinvention, just to give yourself some time, to find out who you are and what your purpose is, and then you could go and do what you have to do in the world.
Do you think that people are too giving of themselves, or they don't take their dreams seriously enough?
Yeah, and they're influenced not to give in to their dreams. So just because other people don't see themselves doing something, they're like, man, stop dreaming. So when you start becoming selfish, you start, those type of people be like, I'm going to follow my dreams. If you don't want to do yours, it's cool. Be selfish at that moment.
Absolutely.
And then while you start following your dreams and while you get into the space, you will meet people with the same kind of mindset. And guess what? Those people are going to push you. So that's why I'm saying be selfish. So it's not there's always a negative side, but we're going to focus on the good side of being selfish.
Boundaries.
It's all about
part
boundaries.
of it,
That's a great message. That's something that I'm definitely trying to preach to people too, is that you got to take what you're doing seriously.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before anybody else will, because at the end of the day, it's like, this is what you want to do. You got to believe in yourself, and you have to command respect from other people about your shit.
Yeah.
Your friends, your family members, they kind of know you, and they expect you to be, oh, come hang out with me, or oh, you do this, or oh, now you switching up. But you really got to stand firm and be like,
they become selfish, the bad selfish with you.
Yeah.
We've talked about that on one of our episodes about, your family, your friends, they know you better than most people, so they don't really take you serious when you have to set these goals and just be disciplined and consistent.
Right.
You know, they think about all the, you know, like I said, the goofy you, the lazy you, the inconsistent you. They think
you
about
that
all
made
of
a whole bunch of mistakes, so this is gonna be another one.
Yeah. So yeah, boundaries are important for sure.
And when I hit up Sharrelle, because I was like, I can't just talk to myself the whole time. And Sharrelle, she's a host already, you know, for parties, for events and stuff like that. And she's great talking. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to hit up Sharrelle. She's determined. She knows what, you know, as soon as you give her a task, like she'll go get it. So it's someone that I knew that, hey, if we're about to build something, we're going to have to be consistent with it.
Right.
And then already every time when we walk into the room, everyone's like, we're so like lively and like, hey, what's up? So I
Praise
felt
God.
like,
Praise God.
Praise God.
so that's why I was like, Sharrelle, you want to join me on this crazy journey right now? Because it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
So Sharrelle said, let's do
She
it.
said
A week
yes.
later, we were testing.
Well,
we were like
yeah.
recording a little test practice thing. And now it's
and it was no joke. Like, it was no joke. You know, when people talk about wanting to be great and doing things and you're like, you don't hear from them for months or weeks or like no follow up. Lilly, Jabian with Fly Fair Nation, like the next week was doing a test shot. Like I've never, or 3 days later, maybe 4 days later, it was very consistent and, you know, us going to get it, which I could appreciate.
And so you was on a podcast before and it kind of wasn't.
I was trying to start my own podcast, Pretty Girl Progression, but it was more like a lifestyle thing for me. So I figured, okay, podcast, because I love interviewing people. I'm just a curious person by nature, so I want to ask all the things and be in all the business. So it was just hard for me, you know, and I honestly asked God. I was like, God, send me people, send me help, send me resources in order for me to do what you told me I was going to do back in 2012. Like, I remember that conversation.
2012, that's a long time ago.
Yeah. So I asked, and no lie, Lilly called me a few minutes later on my phone.
That's crazy.
And it's not like me and Lilly were like talking on the phone every day. We would just see each other in these
Constantly
creative corner, creative events that we would go to. And then it just came full circle.
Something just told me, Sharrelle.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was like, and I was like weeks before I even hit you up, I was like talking with JBN, and I'm just like, he's the one who produces the Be Selfish podcast. And I was like, no, I think Sharrelle would do it. Because I just saw the drive. And sometimes you need to
it's all
see,
God, man.
yeah, you see the drive, and then it's crazy because what she was missing out was the production side of it, and then
You already
me and
had
David
that.
were
Yeah.
on production, so it's like a puzzle piece at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I definitely,
Absolutely.
yeah. Making a team is important because you can't do shit alone.
Not
I always
at
have to
all.
have somebody behind the stick at least to help me out. Shout out to Special, but you know,
shout out to Sean.
shout out to Sean. Shout out to yeah. Do we have any shout outs while we shouting people
Well,
out?
shout out to Fly Fair Nation.
Yeah.
Shout
Shout
out
out
to
to God.
Shout
out to God. Shout out to my girl Keema.
Hey.
Keema was hitting me up about the podcast. Like she
Yeah.
wanted to do her own, but Keema, where you at? Like she even say, hold me accountable. And
Yeah.
for people who don't know,
I was just
Keema's
working with Keema.
a stylist. I told her, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll follow up with you. This was like in December. Followed up in January, no podcast, Keema. February, no podcast.
We're
March,
trying to
girl.
put her onto
Keema, you
the people
listening?
want
Right.
you. The people want you, Keema.
Right, need it.
Keema's been my mentor for 5 years.
She's awesome.
5 to 4 years. She's been my mentor. So it's like, trust me, Keema, we need you.
Need it, yeah.
Yeah,
we need
for
you
sure.
on the screen.
Everyone
too
knows
much
her
work
too.
behind
Like, I don't
screen.
think I've ever met her in person, but I have a cousin who's worked with her, a friend who's worked. She's just like intertwined with everyone. I love
She's
that.
a whole vibe. She's definitely one of those people that if she could place you in front of a door, be ready for that door.
Oof.
Like, because she'll do it. And she'll know when to place you, too.
Ooh, I love
especially in those, at least as a makeup artist working with her. Yeah.
Yeah, she's plugged in.
She'll put you on, but
Yeah.
you gotta deserve to be put on.
Yes,
Like,
yes, yes.
Don't make her look bad.
Are you ready for that position? Yeah.
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 I get
So that's the power that and then the power that Keema has when it comes to that. So that's
Facts.
probably why she's so like known.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, she just kind of carries herself like a celebrity. She's cool as fuck. But like, where do you all see the podcast going? Like the Be Selfish podcast. What is it gonna look like in 5 years?
I have no idea. I hope it looks good.
So
Hope it looks good.
when we first started, we kind of did like a mini vision board. Like we didn't do a full out, but we wrote down some goals.
I wrote TED Talk.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to give a TED Talk?
TED Talk, doing live tours, just,
Cool.
starting Miami maybe and branching off. And
Checking
can
in on people. Like if we've had a guest that's starting a business, we want to check back on them.
yeah.
And like to see their growth. Like, stuff like that. So we do have a little, so hopefully that keeps going.
Yeah.
I love bringing people on that I've had before on the podcast, like to bring them up, see what they up to.
Yes,
That is a lot of fun.
update.
Stuff like that
ones.
update. That's when we were talking to her about the whole pretty girl progression. So if we have a female, that would be the pretty girl progression side of it, and we could follow. But now we got to make one for the men too.
Of course. We don't
Hot
leave
boy
the men out
progression.
at all. Like our podcast
which
is
one?
not.
It's a hot boy progression.
Hot boy progression.
I like that. I like that.
Hot boy progression.
Why not? But wait, you were saying something before I really interrupted.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, as far as the lives, I want us to do more philanthropy things for sure. I think you're gonna have something coming up where you're giving back to girls doing makeup, and I heard about that.
And
in
then we're
Grapevine.
gonna do a little at my son's school. There's something called Cultural Day, so we're gonna create like a little fake set and like make a crew out of the students.
Nice.
And then so
They love it.
That's in the works because my son is crazy when it comes to cameras, and it's probably because it's a production house right now.
Yeah.
So I would love to create a little set and see, just just have these little mindsets from small, and if they like it, hey, just keep going at it.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to do with mine too, is like be able to bring kids around just to show them what it looks like, because seeing things really helps you to imagine it for yourself.
Absolutely.
It's hard to imagine things you've never experienced before. So if you just show people like, oh yeah, look, it's just 3 cameras, 4 mics, some chairs, like anybody can really do it,
Yeah, I'm
The
big on
future
that.
is digital. Well, we're already in the digital world, but it's like, let's get them onto that.
Yeah.
Because
Show
you don't want
me.
to be left behind.
Yeah, like the way the world's gonna be in 10 years, the barriers really are getting eliminated. Like most of the barriers are up here in people's heads. And I think if we can just keep encouraging people to like, look, nobody's gonna hold you back. They might say things, but only if you believe it and allow that to hold you back, and not if you're not being selfish enough. I think that's when you
I
give
was
into
gonna
that.
say, that's another thing that hopefully with letting people know to pay attention to their
Self-awareness.
it would
Big.
create a better mindset so that other people around them could be able to encourage, because nowadays finding people who encourage you to do something is, I wouldn't say rare, but it's getting kind of scarce, like unless you're around people like that.
Yeah.
So now people are more prone to be negative. Now we have more trolls. Now we have, and then people don't understand that how easily it can influence someone to do stuff. So it's like, no, guys, come on, let's work on ourselves, so then we understand another person outside of us better. So
I'm listening to Oneness right now, the audio, and it talks about a lot about, not holding yourself accountable, but, however someone else may feel about you, to not take on that emotion and do not let it overtake you, which is really big. Because like you said before, people can say certain things and then it get into your psyche, but ultimately, like, you have the control whether you block it or not, right?
Yeah.
It's been really big for me right now.
That's one of the biggest things I try to tell people is like, you're in control of your reality.
Yes.
A lot of times we kind of fall into that victim mentality.
Right.
But especially because it feels like
Everything's
true. You know
programmed that way,
it's,
though.
yeah, and you could even be like, yeah, like I'm at a disadvantage and things in my life are clearly showing that I'm being held back. But if you start to really identify that and think that you're powerless, then you won't be able to change your situation.
Game over.
I've used that as fuel. Like it changed I'm single mom. I was a single mom starting the makeup business when I had the 2 boys super early. It was one of those things that I felt like everything was against, right? But I was just like, no, I had to switch it. Like it's a mind thing. You have to switch it and use that to push you. Like, okay, world, you want to go against me? You don't know who I am yet.
Right.
It's a mindset
and
thing.
it pushes, and then literally you start placing yourself in positions where you feel like you belong, And it starts happening because you're changing your surroundings. You're changing the people around you also. And that's all that negative influence that you once was in before. Now you're getting yourself out. It's not easy. It's not. It's definitely hard. It's going to feel hard because people want you to lose. So it's just like, no. Yeah. Know that people are against you. So it pushes you.
But I look at it like too. Yeah, it is. But I look at it like there's a lot more love than hate. You know, like for me, like in my world, in my bubble, there's a lot more love than hate. So if I could just focus on that, I'm gonna be all right.
Yeah.
You know,
I think one thing that really helped me to do that and kind of take control of my energy, quote unquote, is really thinking.
Why do you say quote unquote? Is it not your energy?
I mean, it is, but some people kind of make a face when you talk about energy and all that.
We are energy. We're
That's
and
true.
It transfers. It never dies.
And that's why I always say it's better to think of like in terms of frequency and like you're tuning a radio, and then you have to really be like, okay, maybe I am experiencing a lot of negativity in my life. I need to rise above that, you know, because you get stuck in certain frequencies depending on your environment and the people you hang out with. It can get contagious and it can keep attracting things that you don't want in your life. You really have to focus on the things that you do want versus what you don't want. And I think too many times are people like, I don't want to do this. So they're playing life scared. And as a result, life is giving we're playing scared. So I need to keep scaring myself and keep putting myself in bad positions.
What is the acronym for fear again?
False evidence appearing real.
Real, yes.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fear is what controls people and keeps you in check.
Yep.
And I don't want to get too political or whatever, but I just think that's what a lot of the news does for us. And people fall victim to that. And then
fear mongering, energy harvesting. It's the whole shebang. Like you're gonna paint this narrative to scare you. You know, if you look at like, oh, we're in a recession, maybe not. But what is your reality? What is your truth? You know.
Because like who knows? Is it really? Like, is it really a pandemic? Like if I'm walking outside, people are telling you tell me people are dying on the streets. It's crazy, and I walk outside. I'm like, it doesn't look like that. Like I'm supposed to just take your word for it. Like
absolutely. Even with money, like you hold on to money so hard, like the universe is gonna say, okay, well, they're not open to receive any of our other blessings that we're gonna give, so we're gonna use this money that you have, and then we're not gonna replenish you. That's how I look at it. You have to be able to just let go and go back to grounding yourself. You know, when you're trying to get your energy right and your frequency right, do what you love. For me, it's going in nature and like being barefoot. You know,
say we feed our inner child.
Yeah, feed our inner child for sure. Play. I love being around kids.
I mean, they always say that you have to become a child again to enter the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah,
I'm not a big religious person, but I am really big on the spiritual because it's this shit is real true.
Like, we're big on the spiritual.
You have to be able to
Fendi facts.
Find that curiosity about the world again. You know, I think we learn through society. We get learned to give our power away, not be curious about the present moment anymore, and not. And the worst part is not believing in ourselves. Like, we take everything so serious. You know, it's like there's no way I was put on the planet to just work a regular job, die in 70 years like that.
We're not supposed to do that.
No,
that's not our story. That's not our truth.
Yeah,
it's really not.
And that's really what perspective is. It gives you almost like a narrative of your life. I think if you can create that story in your life, it eliminates a lot of the anxiety you experience.
Oh yeah.
If you're not driven by a vision or like your story, like, oh, you know, this is my origin story, I'm building, in a couple of years I'm gonna look like this. That's what helps you create your future. But if you're living on, oh shit, this happened to me back in the past, I don't want that to happen to me again. Like that's not that's not a good blueprint for your life.
Absolutely not.
You know, I saw this video of a lady saying that life, just because it's production life for me, your life is your own production. You know, you are the director, you are the writer. If you don't like something, you can change it. You know, if something there was a climax moment and you can make a happy ending. It's just knowing not to put yourself. It's hard because sometimes things happen and you're just like, oh wow, but life is gonna life. Okay, right? But just know, like, let's say I had my brother passed, right? And that was a very big life-changing moment for me, right? And a lot of people grieve differently. I'm very spiritual, and I always say my brother is with me all the time, you know. Other people, they will go into, I did go into depression, but other people go into depression, they stay in depression.
Right.
They just, you know, and I was like, no, I can't think that way. I have to understand he existed. I could close my eyes and see him, you know, and I would love to change that in people also. Like, guys, changing your perspective can change your life.
Yeah.
Literally. Like, it's looking through things through another lens.
Literally.
Like, literally.
I was gonna say, like, even with spirituality, because I was so big on, like, when I got baptized years ago, like, oh my God, Jesus, I like, you couldn't tell me nothing, okay? But I'm learning through my spirituality that when people do ascend on, they are still with you. Well, they're not necessarily like, you're obviously in the physical, but they're with you and you can still connect to them in certain ways. And, you know, for Christianity wasn't teaching me that or giving me that understanding. So when we say like spiritual, I'm so grateful that I can connect to my spiritual roots so I can understand how to connect with, you know, my grandmother who passed on, or how you can connect with your brother still. It's such a beautiful thing. Like, don't miss out on that perspective of who you are at your core, your spirituality, because you're just been indoctrinated into this one side, you know?
I think that's like some people's biggest fear is death, right? Biggest fear.
Because it feels so final.
Yeah, it feels so final, but it's like, you know, if we
energy.
get into spiritual stuff, don't get me started. But
Yeah.
it's just like, it's one of those moments that like the just your change of thought can change a lot of things. If you want to be something, you can be it. If you want to create something, you can create it. At the end of the day, we are creators. All of us are creators. It's not you have to be creative and no. All of us are creative. That's what we're supposed to do. So it's like, it sucks when people get into these, you know, I would say the 9-to-5 job lifestyle and stuff like that. You are helping someone else create their dreams. So why can't you stop for a second and then go and do and create your own dream? They did it. You can do it. That's how I am.
And it's no shade to people who work 9 to 5. I work a 10 to 5. I do events, right? But I look at it like, okay, this is going to fund my hustle. This is going to fund my passion projects, right? And I also am like, okay, well, why would God have me in this space? I'm literally working for Moet or Jameson or doing these big Veuve Clicquot events. It's helping me to be a people's person. It's helping me cultivate the skills that I need. So it's no knock to people who work the 9 to 5, but understand why you're doing it. And this is not a final thing. It shouldn't feel like a final destination for you. It's just teaching you what you need to learn, and then, you know, grow from that and move on, because you will just be making that person all this when you could be pouring it all into yourself.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that's a good message. That's really one of the biggest things biggest drivers behind why I started my podcast is I wanted to get people to believe in themselves, kind of just at a fundamental level, but really like to prove that they can be creative. Because when I was growing up, I never anticipated me having a clothing brand, like making my own hats or doing a podcast or making any kind of content. Like I was never drawing in school. I was never, you know, I was just a jock. Like I played football and I played video games, you know?
Really?
Yeah.
I would not.
So you didn't do any creative anything? Like,
no,
wow.
I used to, you know what I'm saying? Like just make fun of shit like that. Like, yeah, fuck that. Like I'm not about to be on the computer doing all that extra bullshit.
Interesting.
You know? And then when I stopped playing sports, and I was just like, wait, there's a lot more to life, you know? And started reevaluating. And then my experience teaching, I was like, damn, like the world's still pretty fucked up. Like there's actually a lot wrong.
Yeah.
So when I stopped thinking about just my career and my future, and I started looking at the world and seeing like, what problems can I solve? Then I was like, okay, there's a way that I can do the things that I want and solve these problems too. Bars. And then I was like, oh shit, like I can really do anything I want. And so it took me a while to get to that point.
Yeah.
But it's something that I hope to give to other people, because now I almost like do it on like a science. Like I had to prove it to myself. Like I couldn't just, like everyone's heard, oh, you know, if you believe you can do it, then you can. But like that shit.
You gotta work.
That sounds like it is true, but it doesn't 10% sound
that
like
and
it.
90% your work.
Yeah,
That's
but
what
still, like it can feel like that's just a fairy tale. You know what I mean?
Because you're influenced to think that way. There's so much negative influence around to make you think you can't. People don't show the struggle that it gets. Like, you see people's highlights in their life. You look on anything, celebrities, they showcase where they're at, but they're never going to show you what they had to go through. And then that's what's happening. People don't see the struggle. So people could be in struggle and be like, I'll never get there because I'm here. But if you do look at all these celebrities, all the entrepreneurs, their struggle stories are crazy.
And I love that. That's why I love talking to people. I want to hear the struggle. There's beauty. I always say there's beauty in vulnerability. That's like a superpower. So why not lead with that? You know, don't be victim to it. Just lead with it.
With Sylvester Stallone, he used to like sleep in his car or something.
Probably.
I don't doubt it.
There was that.
I don't doubt it.
Oprah was
Tyler Perry.
Exactly. Barely. People don't want to.
Steve Harvey. Ooh.
Hella people. Really. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. Everybody really. Most people get it out the mud, but I still, like, it doesn't matter how many stories it is. People still just be like, well, that's X, Y, that's Oprah, that's Steve Harvey.
No, it's not.
I can't do
it's
that.
You have a purpose. If you are here, and we always say, as long as you got breath, you got options. Shout out to the Hood Healer. Like, it's so true. You are destined to be here for a reason. So stop bitching and figure it out.
Yep, complaining.
Epi, that's it.
Yeah.
Stop complaining.
I think the biggest disservice that is done to us is we think that God is outside of us, so we feel
God
powerless.
is within us.
Bars.
Yeah, it's like that's why I really think that's why they killed Jesus, because they were like, all right, this guy's telling everybody that they're in control. He's wilding out. Like, there's no way we're gonna be able to get people to do whatever we want if he's just telling them basically that they don't have to. So we got to get rid of him, and then once we kill him, we can make him the ticket to salvation. Like, you can't get on your own. You gotta have.
Never seen it that way, but thank you.
Wow, yeah.
It's like you can't get everlasting salvation unless Jesus Christ, your Lord and Savior. But he was coming here saying, didn't it say in the scripture, ye are gods? Like, I'm so confused.
Yes.
I saw a TikTok. This is funny. I saw a TikTok. They were like going through their Bibles, like, oh my God, there's a verse missing and blah blah blah. I was like, what do you think's been happening the past 2,000 years? You know what I'm saying? If they'll lie about you, I mean, the government and historians, they'll lie about it, all types of shit.
All of it. They could create a story.
Hello.
They're creating the whole history.
There's already they already have their blueprint on why they do what they do.
Yep.
That's what keeps a lot of this fear mongering going on. Come on,
and
now.
fear. That's where the fear comes in. Because now it's like, well, shit, I don't want to go to hell. Like, I better do what these people say.
No.
Not to mention, motherfuckers are getting murdered at every chance you get throughout history. If you don't believe in Jesus.
I've been watching The Viking heavily lately. I don't know if you guys ever seen it, but they worship their gods. They call them, the one true gods, but then they're going against the Christians who is like, no, Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior.
Period.
But the Vikings are on some
like, fuck that
old school. It's insane watching it because they just have a different way of, connecting with their gods, and then they deal with Jesus. But I think about that often, like, okay, we have Jesus, but then we have them, but then we are our gods, or we are gods. Why have, I guess the powers that be allowed us to only think this one way for so long when it comes to just Jesus? Why? Do you guys ever think about that? I hope it's making sense.
I think about that time but I know why, because it's about control. Like, I really don't think that slavery was a big thing about race, but I feel like the whole planet is like a slave planet. You know what I'm saying? Like, the people, there's a small, maybe a couple thousand people that run the planet and all its resources. There's like billions of us on the planet. You know what I mean? And so it's like, there's no real reason why we need to be having poverty and going to war and shit like that.
We outnumber like crazy.
Like, if we wanted to, we have the means and the resources to make a better planet. It's just a priority.
To unite. Unity is the hardest thing.
They made it hard.
Yeah. It's really
made it hard, and it's just like, if people would understand how powerful they really are, that's where mind control came in.
Yeah.
Like, they know because they were able to do stuff, so they're like, oh no, we can't spark this into anyone else.
Literally.
And they studied us before it all began. Like, it's in the stars.
People are, I mean, this shit is getting passed down. They didn't just start social engineering this year or last year.
No.
They've had this shit.
It wasn't during Rona, y'all.
Yeah.
History is repeating itself as far as like they're using the tactics that they used years ago. Now they're just like, okay, we're going to do it with technology because it's happening with technology.
Yeah.
Sorry. There's a show that I don't know if you guys seen it, but there's a show that I fell in love with was American Gods. I don't know if
I've seen a few episodes.
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
You might like it.
Just because we're having this conversation, check it out.
Sounds kind of good.
Yeah.
Because it talks about, and it's pretty, like, how do you say when it's like, it's pretty factual. It's pretty true as far as like, because I love studying different religions too. So it was funny just to see different religions, even the old ones, even before Christianity.
Yeah.
So the show found a cool way to like showcase the history before Christianity, and then all the other gods, and now the new gods, which is technology, because people believe in technology, people believe in validation, the stuff like that. So it was a pretty cool way. Season 1, season 2 kind of
it kind of fell off.
Season 1
is lit.
yeah, definitely check it out if you guys agree with this conversation we're having, for sure. So now you got the Viking and the American Gods. Check those 2 shows out.
Definitely check those out. I really think that if you think about God as a frequency, something that you can tune into and something that you want to hold, it gives you something to aspire to.
Yes.
So it's like I can be like Jesus versus, putting him on a pedestal of like, Jesus would do that, but me, I'm just little old me. So, I ain't got to push myself that hard. Like that's where the being selfish comes in. Because if you're like, look, I have God inside of me that I'm trying to let forth. I can't let motherfuckers just bullshit and drag me down.
Right.
You got to be real serious about that.
Don't let nobody play in your face.
Just to put something in perspective, it's for people who like are listening. Your inner voice. Everyone has, when you close your eyes and you listen, there's some things that happen that you say to yourself, I should have done that differently. Why didn't I listen to that inner voice? What do you think that is?
Yeah, where do you think it's coming from?
Right.
When you have a gut feeling and something don't feel right.
I always say trust the gut.
What do you think that is? Like, don't you feel like sometimes you could kind of tell the future, or that you're not supposed to be doing something, or you see someone doing something wrong and you're like, yo, what do you think that is? Like,
and it comes to you in different forms. Whether it be a dream, whether it be a bird, whether it be the way the wind blows and it, strokes your hair. Like, it comes in different ways. Just pay attention. Yep. And you can't really pay attention because then you go into all the other things. We get into all these crazy activities. We're drinking, we're smoking, we're this, we're that. Don't be blocking your third eye, like you really,
all put there on purpose.
Yeah,
so I don't know if you guys want to go there.
It's cool cool to have fun, but it's here to teach you. All of this is teaching you something deeper. To come back to yourself. Who were you before the world told you who you were?
Right.
Come back to self. So yeah.
Nice.
You can get deep, y'all. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is a good conversation. This is really what inspires me to do this shit every day, edit the podcast, do this shit all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to have a real serious reason to do the things you want to do. Yeah. Because it's a lot of work. Serious reason. Yeah, you have to be serious about it. And you have to.
It's for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm dead ass serious because I saw when I was teaching, I'm like, I see so many kids that don't believe in themselves at all, And it was like, if we can, like, they're learning things on YouTube and shit, like, we can get this information and put it in a way that they would like it. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Like, oh, now I'm internalizing it. Oh, yeah, I should just try. I would have so many kids that would just try and I'm like, oh, shit, this is easy. I'm like, that's what I said. Like, you just wouldn't give me a chance to, like, just try it. And so I meet so many people in real life that won't even try. It's like, yo, like, why not? So
what's the worst that could happen?
Literally.
What's the worst? Take the risk.
My whole idea was like, let me get as many people on here that can prove that they're just regular people. You might have never heard of them, but they decided to go in on what they're doing. Yes. And now look, so appreciate y'all for contributing to that. That's lit.
No, thank you.
All for the cause, all for the purpose.
I love things like this. I love having these conversations.
Do you guys usually get spiritual like this sometimes?
We do.
Okay.
We've had an episode where we talked about the Yoruba Ifa culture.
African I wouldn't say belief, it's a way of life. But and we had an actual like Cuban priest show up.
Cool.
And we interviewed him, and he talked about, you know, once when we were kings and queens, and we, the black people, were like are the most powerful. That's why they had to break us down. It's a whole convo on that. And yeah, definitely mentioning that the power is within us. We are all gods, you know, and we are all creators. Yeah. So we definitely get spiritual. We talk about accountability. We talk about vulnerability. We talk about breaking our own barriers, breaking generational curses, understanding that our parents is not the fault of us being how we are, because we have the choice to change how we are, and we could live our life. So we go deep.
Yeah, we talk about all that.
Yeah, it's self-evaluation. So it's like you gotta understand why you feel a certain way, why things trigger you, and why it causes you to think a certain way now. And you know, understand that part of you, so then you could grow from it. Because you gotta fix the foundation before you grow. Right. So
you gotta have a solid foundation before you build a house.
Always. Yeah.
I think that's why, because I'm thinking of a way, I'm trying to write a book so that people who aren't creating anything can look at themselves as creators.
Yeah, I love that.
One of the things that I think is like the most important factor is what you identify with.
Okay.
I think too many people identify with the smallness in them and what they can see. And what you can see is not even close to what reality really is. Right. We can only see less than 1% of the light spectrum, which means that most of what we're seeing is just a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of what's really there. And I think if people started to identify with that voice inside, not your body, because you're really just animating your body.
Yeah.
So if you look at your body almost like it's a car, and that it has its own little quirks, like Jordan gets mad in the morning, like don't talk to him in the morning. Or, you got to really learn how to like control yourself and see how you react. But also, like when it comes to generational curses, the way your ancestors were thinking and feeling does get passed down to you through something called epigenetics. So you have to be like, oh shit, like is this me or is this something else? You know,
it goes deep. Yeah,
you get a lot of thoughts and feelings that aren't really you. So to be able to pull yourself out and disassociate with those thoughts and ideas can really help you kind of do what we were talking about, is reimagine how you'll react to things.
Yeah,
this is the last thing I'll say. I want to turn over to y'all, but most of our behavior is like automatic. More than 90% is just you remembering how you reacted to certain stimuli in your environment, and then just running that program again. So I tell myself and others, like, we have to realize when we're about to fall into a program and just make another choice. That's how you start to make a better life.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was bars.
I've been that way, like, because my environment was so rough and rugged, and, you know, raised around a lot of men, my brothers, my uncles. You know, my dad and my uncles being, you know, dope boys in Miami back in the 80s, 70s. It's just crazy. But like, sometimes I will subscribe to that tough like programming where I'm just like, you really taking me there. But then I have to remember, no, like, okay, that's not who you want to be anymore.
Right.
That's not how you want the world to receive you. So check yourself, you know? So... But I understand the program, and sometimes it takes me back, and I'm like, no, I'm just being direct. No, you being a bitch.
I'm just being direct.
Yeah, no, you being crazy right now. So I always have to like check myself, because it's easy to fall into that old programming.
Yep. Yeah. Sharrelle came up with one of the titles to one of the episodes. I think that we talked about that was like our past doesn't.
Yeah, our past doesn't define us, I think it was, or our past, we are not our past.
Yeah,
like
we
that.
are not our past.
Go to our YouTube channel and check it out. You're going to see
it. It's true.
Like, we are not our past. And
yeah, we are not our past.
And it's a double meaning in that, because it's like you feel like that's like if your life is already written for you,
right.
And it's not.
Right.
It's not.
It's really not.
It's not. So you really have to understand, just because like the person who raised you acts a certain way, or the environment that you were raised in, if you don't want that environment, you can change it.
No. Absolutely. I say that all the time, like, especially with the relationship with our moms. We talked about that on our show, and you know, my mom is stuck in her old school ways. I know Lily, your mom is as well, but I'm such a, like, I really don't play games with my mom. I'm just like, Mom, you were the vessel to get me here. I love you. I respect you. But this is how it's going to go in my world, you know? Like, and that's it. So it's easy to like get caught up with your parents and you know, all the things from your past that trigger you. But it's like, no, you have no power here.
It's because like those people remember the old you, so now they see you switching up. They're like, what the hell? Like,
I'll hit it with my mom with the I know who you are. I'm like, you don't know who
you got to reintroduce yourself, baby. Even you, ma. Yeah,
I mean,
big on that.
That's really what human experience is all about. Like, you're gonna be constantly baptizing yourself. Like, oh shit, I remember what I did before. Let me go in and figure it out. All right, next time I'm gonna act a different way. I'm a new person now. You know, like that's not a one-time thing. That's a continuous thing. You're always evolving.
Yeah. We experience each other, and you have to literally get up every day to choose to have a better experience with yourself. Like I always say, like there's no competition. It's like it's me versus me.
Yeah.
Me versus the old me. You know, that's it. So shit is hard.
Thinking that way, but then everything around you looks and feels like a competition.
Right.
So that's why it's hard for people to think that way, because you're always going to focus on what someone else is doing before you. And it's just like
I don't do that, because
that's why we got to change people's mindsets.
Right.
But then it's hard to change. I just feel like, you know, like when you're ready to hear or receive, you know, the teacher appears, right? So we can keep doing our part and, you know, having the conversation going. But if that person is not ready to receive that, then it's just going to go to the next person, or, you know, they'll get it another time. But it's not a competition where I get inspired by people. Like I can see, oh, this person is doing something great. You're doing a great podcast. How can I learn from this person? How can that person be a teacher? But a competition is just, that's too heavy for me. Yeah.
Now you can use competition to spur you into action, but just don't. It's the comparison and like
it's the perspective.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes,
it really is.
I think one of the things that really helped me was thinking about my ego as like it's really like a survival tool to help you in the physical world, because it's like if you don't, like, your ego's like, we got to stay safe, we got to stay fed, and we definitely have to stay like psychologically stable, but also like it's factoring in like status and like how others are perceiving you, all this extra shit. You can become identified with that and let that run your life, and then you're just not in a good place.
No,
you got to be able to see that your ego is a tool to you. Like it's not you. Like this is gonna go a lot of people's heads, but you have to be able to disassociate from your thoughts, and then you pick and choose which ones you identify with. So I have negative thoughts all the time, and I go through it and I'm like, fuck, this shit is hard. I don't know how I'm gonna pay for this. What am I gonna do? And then I take a step back and I'm just like, well, this is good that I'm having a little bit of anxiety, because it keeps me sharp and, you know, moving forward. But I'm not gonna torture myself with it, because it's like I'm playing a video game. You know what I'm saying? Like money, what even is it? Like
you're gonna get stuck there.
It's like
focusing on the solution of like, okay, I need to go do this. To get what I, you know. So if
I was playing a video game and I was like, oh snap, I get to this point in the level and I need to pay $100 to get in, but I only have $150 total dollars. I'm not gonna be like, oh shit, like I only have $50 left. Like, how am I gonna retire? No, like I have the money right now. Boom. I know what I'm gonna be progressing. Like I know eventually the game I'm gonna be strong as fuck. So why would I be?
Because you're believing that.
You gotta live your life like that. Why would I be? Oh wow, I'm in debt $1,000. Like okay, but I have a plan to go. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's like that shit is. It can be scary until you do it and you're like, oh wait, that's actually not that big a deal.
Yes.
And it's the seriousness of the ego that holds you back, because you're scared.
Man, that depth of ego is real.
Crazy.
Yeah, it really is.
It's crazy.
I'm learning more about it like every day. So
life is a journey. I
it
think
is beautiful journey.
Yeah, but not enough people get to stop and smell the roses. We're just stuck in a rat race, but you got to enjoy the life you're living, because I mean, I can't tell you only get one, but I'm pretty sure you only get one as who you are right now. So you might as well be the best Jordan, Special, Sharrelle, Lilly you can be, you know? So, you know, that's great. I think there's a lot of, like, after COVID, this post-COVID life, I think people are starting to get ready for this kind of information. And I think we have the opportunity to make a great world. And I'm kind of excited, because the future generations, there's so much potential. And with the tools that we're unlocking with AI and all this other stuff, I'm really optimistic. I'm really optimistic.
It's like I was talking to JB, and it's the art of conversation is coming back with podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at any history books, someone had to have the conversation and they wrote it down.
Yeah.
So when I listen to podcasts that have anything inspiring, it's like I want to share it because I related to it.
Right.
I'm pretty sure someone else. So it's like the art of conversation, people sitting down and talking about their struggles, how they went through it will inspire someone else. So yeah, I definitely feel like once everyone allows and how you're saying they're ready for that type of information to come in and accept that information.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, and do with it what they need to do in their life with it, then definitely, I mean, I am hoping for a way better world. Because my babies are going to be in it. I don't want nobody to hurt my babies.
Yeah, and when I have babies, but I'm a whole doomsday prepper person. So I'm ready for whatever. I'm just looking forward to my 50 acres of land, and then I could do what I do and build a better world.
Farms and chickens running around.
Yes, get back to nature.
Farm your own vegetables.
Yeah.
No pesticides.
Right. Everything.
Chemicals.
Once upon a time, everything was organic, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of wild.
Now
everything has GMOs and
then organic food is like the most expensive food, so you don't even get to eat.
That's so crazy. Like,
how do we don't think someone's controlling?
It's like, how did we get here?
How did we get here? I mean, a lot of confusion and
pay
delusion.
For water when water is free.
That's what I'm saying. And it's like people be so caught up on stupid shit like race when it's really a class struggle we're going through. Ooh. So if we can just get people to stop focusing on the goofy shit that is easy to divide people up. Oh, your skin color, like men and women, like, oh my God, you go on if you go on Twitter for just a little bit and scroll, you'll see some stupid, pointless
I'm not even
arguments.
on Twitter, man. Twitter be making me nervous. Like, what's going on in this world?
Ridiculous.
Unity is what's gonna make everyone understand each other's powers. So now everything is to separate. So that it doesn't create that unity. I always see everyone, we're all one race, the human race. That's it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, why so much hate?
Yeah. And once you really believe in yourself and love yourself, you see that in other people.
Absolutely.
And you want to help cultivate that. So I think that's the biggest problem. People don't love themselves. Be selfish. Love yourself.
Self-love is the best love, okay?
You can't love anybody else until you love yourself.
Exactly.
Right. Because you see how if I see that you're treating yourself bad, horrible all the time, I'm like, ooh, they don't love themselves. So they damn sure not going to love me. They're not even going to care about me. So why would I even entertain this? So
it gets deep.
Child.
It gets
like
deep.
My sister, she always like, you know, somebody will give her a compliment and she'll be like, I know. Like she's very I know, yes.
You don't got to tell me.
Oh, thanks.
And not humble about it at all. But she's just like, why not?
Hey,
of course I love myself.
I'm not mad
you know?
at it.
It's beautiful, as we should.
That's dope. So if people want to keep up with you guys, like where can they find you at?
Everywhere.
Yeah, we are.
Sharrelle's good at this part.
We are. You can find us on Instagram first at Be Selfish Pod. We also are on iHeart, Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud. You can find us anywhere and everywhere. Just look up Be Selfish Pod with Lilly and Sharrelle.
Nice.
Yeah.
You want to drop your personal IGs on there too?
Sure.
They're going to be in my business. No,
they
I'm
might,
just kidding.
in your DMs, you never know.
In your business, girl.
You can find me, my name on Instagram is Sharrelle, SHARRELL._.
Yep. And then for me, it's Lily Lovely, ITSLILLY, Lovely. And y'all gonna see a lot of makeup stuff on that one, but
nothing wrong with that. Somebody gotta do their makeup.
That's what we do.
All right, nothing wrong with that. Well, I appreciate y'all for coming on, dropping that knowledge.
Thank you for having us.
For sure. Everybody be sure to follow them, and we're gonna take a picture real quick.
Yeah.